Hello community! I wanted to do a video for you guys today about BC in general, just for any prospective students or anyone interested in learning about BC, because I know that there are going to be some decisions made in the next few days, and I wanted to give people, especially graduating seniors, a chance to understand a little bit more about the college, because you've probably been robbed of the chance to have a proper tour recently and everything like that. So I just wanted to try to do my part and answer some questions for you guys. Also, just to preface, my mom's on a work call downstairs, so I don't know if you can hear it, but that's just what that is. Okay, I'm literally gonna do the basics, which basic of school and survival mode is food, where you live, and academics, I guess, and then we can get into extracurriculars and stuff. Also, I literally put on an oversized sweater and jeans for you guys. Quarantine vibes are being shaken today. So I wanted to explain to you guys the campus in general. The main campus is in Chestnut Hill, and it's by the reservoir, and it's built on a hill of Commonwealth Avenue. And Upper campus is considered like where the freshmen and underclassmen live, because some sophomores live there. I want to say like 30% of sophomores live there. It's something like 25 to 30% of sophomores will live there, but it's basically higher up on the hill, and honestly it's closer to class and like the main academic buildings. And then main campus, I feel like no one calls it middle campus, but like whatever, main or middle campus is where all the academic buildings are, and like if you're going to like student services or something, like that's where it is, but those are like the buildings that aren't residential really. And then lower campus is at the bottom of the hill, and it's where the upperclassmen and a bunch of sophomores live. I forgot to mention it's also where the gym and our football and hockey stadiums are in one dining hall. It's typically nicer housing in that the upper campus is traditional, like dorm style, like communal bathroom, that type that you think of when you hear college dorm. And then lower campus is like you might have a kitchen or a kitchenette and like individual bathrooms, and it can go up to like quads to 6-mans to 8-mans to 9-mans, and there's some really nice living there. So that actually kind of gets me into living. And what I'll say about that is that different grades kind of consolidate in different places, like I was kind of talking about. Like if you're a freshman, you're either going to be on upper campus that I was talking about, or Newton campus, which is the satellite campus that you have to take a bus to go to and from this campus. I want to say it's about a mile away, so it's like a quick bus ride, but like to walk is like kind of like you're not just gonna like walk to class every day unless you're very dedicated to like get up and everything like that. So like most people who are on Newton, they either love it or they're just like, it's just a thing I have to do. Like I just take the bus. Just like in public school, I took the bus, or I had to go in a car to get to school. So for some people they hate it because they don't like having to wake up extra. But for some people they were like already gonna be up, or like, I don't know, it really depends on what kind of person you are. If you like Newton campus, a lot of people say it's like nice to have your own little community to come home to after school, if that makes sense. So that's kind of the gist there. I can answer like specific questions about that if you comment them, but that's kind of the gist there. And then upper campus is like right where basically like your classes will be, and like on main campus. So yeah, comment questions below about that if you have them. Different dorms and residence halls, which is what we call them, will have different pricing, especially as you go on in your years. And typically juniors live off campus. You're usually guaranteed 3 years of housing, and like in outstanding circumstances, you'll be guaranteed 4. Like for example, if you're an RA, like you're gonna get housing because you are an RA. Or like if you're a nursing student, you get housing because of clinical. Some other random people get 4 years of housing. After that, it's kind of just like, don't really know. Maybe varsity athletes do, I don't know, don't like quote me on that. But yeah, so most likely you're gonna get 3, and people like to go off campus for their junior year and like live with their friends in an off-campus house or apartment. So that's usually what's typical for housing. Okay, so for food, I want to talk about the dining because there's mixed reviews. So what I'll tell you is that if you're entering as a freshman, you will have a plan that is, it's either $2,400 or $2,500 per semester. Whatever you don't use from the fall rolls over to the spring. And basically how it works is that it's not like a buffet style swipe system where you swipe once and that's like your meal for the day. You can take it whatever you want. It's like you pay for individual parts of your meal. So everything you get, you pay for individually. And for me, this isn't a big issue. I feel like I don't eat a ton, or no, I feel like I eat a reasonable amount, but I definitely am not having like 3 full meals a day. So if you're someone who like wakes up and has breakfast and then has lunch and then has dinner, like full, you probably honestly won't have enough if you do that every day, because it's factoring in that you'll have like 2 meals and a snack, which for me is lunch, dinner, and like a bagel for breakfast, or like an omelet, because breakfast is usually less expensive. And then some days I don't have breakfast because I want to sleep in, or some days like breakfast is at 11, which is lunch for me, you know what I mean? So that's kind of what that's factoring in. So that's about our dining plan. I personally have never run out of money, but I have had friends who have run out of money or been very close to running out of money. So that's just something that you have to consider and be kind of conscientious about spending in the beginning. Literally check your portal account and see how much you've spent, like once every couple of weeks, just to make sure you're on track and you're not gonna like run out of food. But keeping in mind that that also takes into account like if you're staying there for break, like Thanksgiving break and fall break and spring break, like it takes into account that you'll be having 3 meals a day every day. So just keep that in mind. Okay, the next basic thing that I wanted to talk about was academics. So literally school. You're there to go to school. So I have to put a section in the video about this. So basically, whatever major you end up deciding will have its own major requirements, as I think is the case at most colleges. But for BC, we also have this core curriculum, which probably other colleges have, but it consists of like our Jesuit ideals and this liberal arts education, like well-rounded education. So for example, you have to take philosophy and theology and history and English and writing and art. So there are all these like core curriculum that you have to take, and sometimes AP courses can like knock those off. And something that I'll recommend is that if you're not super into philosophy or theology or something, I would recommend taking either Perspectives or Pulse. So you can take Perspectives your freshman year and you can take Pulse your freshman or sophomore year. And I would recommend that because it just gets it out of the way so that later when you're like doing more of your major requirements, maybe you know what you want to do, you have more time to really focus on that and not be like, oh, I have to take a philosophy course, because it can be a little bit challenging to like do these readings and deal with whatever else you're dealing with. So I personally took Perspectives, which what I'll say about it is that I'm grateful that I took it, because like I'm done with those cores, because you actually have to take 2 semesters of philosophy and 2 semesters of theology. But if you take Perspectives, it's just 1 year that like finishes all of that. And I will say that the professors that teach Perspectives range. So some will give a lot of reading, some will give a lot of writing, some is an easy A, some is like a pretty easy A if you just pay attention, you know what I mean? So they actually have very different styles, and they sometimes even read different things because they like choose different things off like the syllabus that they could choose from. So just kind of ask around and know that if you sign up for Perspectives, it does matter who you get, because some Perspectives teachers are really hard and some are really less hard, or some just challenge you in different ways. Okay, so know that. So that is kind of my recommendations for academics and core. I also have a nursing video up if anyone wants to watch that. I have 2 up, so I'll just like link them back and forth, because I think a lot of people come to my channel to like hear about BC experience and to hear about like nursing experience. So you can watch that for sure. So now getting into extracurriculars, I'm gonna tell you some tea, or like a secret, okay? Because we're a Jesuit institution, we don't have frats, we don't have sororities, we don't have Greek life. So if you're going to go to parties, it's because you either know an upperclassman, or you're gonna be crammed in some freshman dorm and get written up, or it's because you join clubs. So join clubs. So on club day, don't just be like, oh, that's kind of interesting, and like never respond to the email chain. Like actually take a second to talk to the people. Like worst case, you never see them again, like okay, but talk to them, see if you kind of vibe with them. And clubs that have like all grades, which most of them have all grades, but like clubs that don't really define like, oh, these are the freshmen and these are the sophomores and these are the juniors and seniors, like those clubs will have the best parties because it's more of like a blended family and you like know people from different grades instead of being like, these are the mentors who mentor these people. So I'd say definitely have a balance of clubs. Maybe one club where it's just so big that you'll meet like a ton of people and there's like different grades, and then another club that you're just genuinely so interested in and like want to go to this club just because you're so interested in this club. And great if it's the same thing, obviously, but I'm just saying, I'd say for me, the cap was 3 clubs. Like I really couldn't do more than 3. Like realistically, I couldn't do more than 2, but like 3 if you're not have another job or like a very, very heavy workload is okay. But that's why I'm saying, like, when you go to club day, yes, talk to everyone you possibly can and get all those flyers, but actually try to narrow down, okay, what are my 3 clubs that I'm actually gonna try to like commit myself to? And also just go to the informational meetings, go to those first meetings where they're like free ice cream, and figure out if that's a place that would fit for you. And if you never show up again, they're not gonna be like, oh, remember Kat? Like, no, they're not gonna remember Kat because you showed up once and you were a freshman and you didn't speak to anyone because you were uncomfortable. So like, don't worry about that. Just really focus on finding the place that's right for you, and that will also make BC a lot more special to you because you've like found your home, or like one of your homes within your home. So, okay, that's my tips on clubs. Okay, I don't really know how to preface this subject, but the next is like the people at BC, I guess. I don't know, maybe that is a lot more simpler than I made it in my head. But basically, when I first was applying to BC and deciding if I would want to come here, I really thought that it was going to be like a lot of stuck-up, snobby kids. Like I really did, which is rude, first of all, to say, but like that's genuinely what I thought. Like a college that has that much money, and that happens at a lot of other colleges too, but I just thought that there was a certain stigma around BC. And when I got here, I basically found that it's a balance. I think that like a majority or something of kids who go here, at least like half, at least 40%, probably half, probably majority of kids who go here need financial aid to afford it because it's so freaking expensive. Like it's $70,000 a year. Like I can't even fathom that. Like if I had $70,000 a year, I don't know what I would do. Tune into when I'm dead, and that's what's in my will, because I'll never have that. I'm just kidding. But that's a ton of money, and it's actually was shocking for me to go here and then realize that not everyone's just like dripping in money. Like everyone seems like they're very like put together, but they're actually not. There actually are really genuine good people here, and you just have to find them. Like I think that in freshman year, especially in the beginning and orientation stuff, everyone does that little dance that's like, okay, like I'm awkward, you're awkward, I'm gonna try to look really cool, you're gonna try back, we're both gonna have Lululemon leggings on during this whole exchange, it's gonna be great. And then you're like, oh my god, I'm not gonna make it here. But once you meet someone who you can relate to and literally be your weirdest self with, literally be so just yourself with, BC just becomes amazing. like your door opens. Once you find that club, once you find that friend, once you find that group of friends, once you find that class that you are passionate about, like the doors just open up so much at BC, and you can really start to see yourself like flourishing. Not to say that I'm not suffering almost every day just because I think school is so hard, but college is meant to be hard. You know what I mean? School is meant to be hard, but it's the friends you make and the experiences you have that make it worth it in the end. And the degree, I guess, like being able to, get a job. But like, so that's what I try to tell people, is just to look for experiences and look for that feeling that's like, this feels right. Like this feels like I can be myself. This feels like I don't miss home because I'm just so happy to be here. Like look for that feeling, crave that feeling. And when you find it, BC will be amazing. And that could apply at other colleges, but I just personally feel that they talk about floating duck syndrome at BC, where everyone looks like they're a floating duck, just like very serene on the water, but then you don't realize that they're kicking really hard to stay afloat underneath. And they talk about that a lot, and that's definitely a thing. But once you're brave enough to open up to someone and they reciprocate it, like you're good. Like this is gonna be the best few years of your life. Just wait. No, you're definitely gonna have brighter futures ahead of you too, but it's gonna be really great if you make the most of it by being yourself and finding your people, because it is actually a nice size 9,000 undergrad where you can meet people who are just like you and people who are nothing like you and be friends with both kinds. And yeah, they also teach a lot about being a man or woman for others, which I think is a really great teaching and gets ingrained into you eventually. And I think it's a really special type of education that we have here. Even though I feel like I'm suffering every day, like I know that I'm getting a really well-rounded and good education about not only being educated, but a good human. So that's kind of my really broad overview on BC with some really randomly specific analogies and examples. But I hope you liked this video. I really, really wish you luck if you're deciding on college right now, if you are, a junior, like becoming a senior who's got to go through this process. I have a whole video about college acceptance and how to deal with that if that's what you're interested in. Definitely comment specific questions that you might have, and I can do a part 2 about this video or whatever and kind of combine things. I also did a nursing video, so you can look for that here as well. But other than that, I will talk to you soon.